Welcome back to the show, everybody. Let's see if we can finish up the lower engine side panels today. Off camera, all I did since last time was just get the mounting holes drilled in both of the panels. Wasn't really spectacular work, so we just went ahead and got that done. So the next thing we need to do is weld in the support gussets like you see on the factory originals. So you can tell here spacing is different between the two side to side. I believe that's because, well, on this right side it's quite busy over here, so there's a lot of things to try and clear, whereas the left side, it's pretty much wide open, so they could space them basically where they would be best utilized. I've already got the new gussets made. Of course, these are quite a bit shorter for the two-piece panels than they are on the one-piece, but the way I got the shape was I used some gasket material and traced out the contours, cut it to size, and then used this to pop out the blanks. And these are thicker than the side panels. This is 12 gauge here, so that's what I made the new ones out of. And we'll just replicate the spacing from the one pieces. We'll put these wherever they need to land on each one. We will even mimic how they did the stitch welds as well. So let's get that part done. With that, we've got the gussets put in where they need to be, and as usual, it took me until just the last few beats to really get that welder dialed in and get the result that I was hoping to have right from the start. That's okay, they're not horrible and they're all structural. We're going to go with it just as it is. So the gussets are all in place in the proper position. And now the last thing we need to do before we have these lower panels finished is retention clips. So you can see in this cutaway right here, we have, it shows a 5B3809 clip, quantity 4, 2 in each assembly. So it doesn't give us a whole lot of information right there, but when we scale the diagram, we know this side iron is 4 inches wide there. We do all the calculations and we can tell that that clip is 1 inch wide based on that known dimension. So we know where the front clip needs to land. We don't know where the other one needs to be. So we also have this diagram of a slightly different set of two-piece engine side panels. They're the full length on the bottom. They don't have that cutout at the front where ours do, where that side iron bracket has to go. And they had 3 clips. Now the middle one scales out to be in the same position as that. We don't need to worry about the front one. We can see where that is from those 2 little rivet marks. But we can see where the back one is. There's the 2 rivet marks for it, and it's directly beneath the bump end for that starting engine drain tube, which is going to be about right here. So time to do some detective work. We have this leftover original top portion panel from my grandfather's old D2. Knowing what we know, we take some of the dirt off, look for witness marks, and sure enough, here's our bump in for that starting engine drain tube. Right beneath that, you can see from right there to right there, there is a worn in flat witness mark exactly 1 inch wide where that old clip used to be. So that proves out location for the back one. And you can also see kind of a worn spot where that clip extended up, and we know exactly how tall it needs to be too. And then we just further prove things out. We go forward to where it scales out into the diagram where that other one should have been. Sure enough, there's another witness mark from there over to there. You see just that little bit of flat worn in there, and again where the clip stopped. So through detective work, we've proven the placement, and we know how tall they need to be. We know how wide they need to be. We can scale out to figure out how far down those rivets are that hold each clip in each panel. And, well, we need to make the clips. So we're going to fall back to 1113's original hood, and Cat never deviates from standard design. So these are 1 inch wide, and I'm going to basically mimic the shape and the approximate length of these as well. We're going to use these rivets as a pattern, same for spacing. And these are a bit of a spring steel, okay? They're pretty stiff. You can put a screwdriver behind them and they don't want to bend easily. They want to snap back in place. In a perfect world, I'd be using spring steel for the clips here, but being that we already have 2 bolts that are holding the side panel on, and we're hooking behind the lower portions anyhow, I'm just going to use standard mild steel because, well, I can't temper things, and if I bought spring steel already in a sheet, I can't form it. So we're just doing the best we can. Using our gauge wheel, we've verified that these are a 16 gauge. And I've got this scrap piece of 16 that I have been making fold over locks out of, but it looks like it's going to fit the bill for this application. And I dug out my old bead roller. It's a really old Pexto and Wilcox. I'm not sure exactly how old. It was patented in the late 1800s sometime, but old enough they were still putting brass tags on them. It's the number 2. Should be sufficient to roll that 16 gauge. I put the small round ring dies on. Let's begin. These rollers are so much fun. They're just almost hypnotizing to me, what they do. First pass, I want a little bit more. This is a little bit thick for this size of roller, so we'll just sneak up on it. Cranking it down just a little bit more every time. It's getting there. Edge profile starting to look close to what I want. Do one more. I lied. One more. Just having too much fun with it. All right, we'll call that good. And after we cut on the 4 lines, plus remove the top edge, we end up with 4 clip starter blanks with the correct end profile. Next, add a couple of strategically placed bends. Then drill the holes for the rivets. I prefer using these step drills on this thinner material. They drill a lot cleaner hole. And with that, you've got 4 finished clips properly shaped, ready to go. Mark out and drill the corresponding rivet holes in the panels. And we are ready to attach. So to do the job, I'm using these standard 1/4 inch shank domed head rivet, mild steel. Let's put them together. Rivet setter. So that was the final step in completing the lower engine side panels. Clips are all in place, ready for the upper panels to hook in and then bolt radiator to bell housing. And yeah, looking at these, you can really tell there's not a lot of support out on the front end. There's not even a double layer. There's no gussets. They end back here. Well, these are very much meant to work in conjunction with those side irons. And we'll just put all these together real quick, and then it will become apparent how much support these really do have once everything is lined up and in place. This side in. There we are. So everyone's been asking what that little bolt did that I transferred over from my grandfather's old side iron. That's where it goes, right there. There's a bolt on each side. It goes into that 3/8 by 16 hole. We put about a third of the way back in each one of these. So that secures the lower half panel to the side iron. That gives you all the support you need out here through this thin area. And then these bolt to the radiator support at the front there and there. So it's very much a system. Everything works in conjunction with everything else. You can see where our knockout with the bump in lines in with that access hole that was drilled in the side of the rail. And we fit the mounting brackets at the front. And when you look at it and you take it in all at one time, that was a lot of measuring and cutting and welding and drilling and fitting. That's very much a system, a cohesive system that works with everything else. So let's check the fit. And it all fits just like it should. We're lining in well with that oil pan flange on the block. Our cutout for that mainspring T-bolt contours well. Everything is in place. Here's that mystery bolt that goes in the side, holds that lower engine panel tight to the side iron, and then we anchor up here. That's all the support you need, nice and rigid through there. This side's pretty easy to fit because there's really nothing here, you know, it's pretty wide open. The other side right here has a lot more going on, a lot more things to work around. So yeah, clips are in place, ready to accept those upper panels as they slide on. Let's have a look at, yeah, that oil separator drain plug lines in well with the hole we put in the side iron plus that bump in. Looking down below, plug on the oil filter housing lines in. I don't know why that hole is beneath that crankcase oil separator, but we have it where it's supposed to be anyhow. And everything's fitting well up here. Let's get the light in a little bit better spot. Now we can see how well all those cooler lines are protected all the way to the front. And yeah, you really have to get those gussets put in just the right places on this side because there's so many things to work around. But all in all, pretty happy with how it turned out. And with that, we can roll on into remaking the upper half panels. If it wasn't for this one remaining piece from my grandpa's old D2, I would not have had enough information to put any of this together. We're basically building it around that piece right there in conjunction with the parts manual diagrams and getting just enough information to be able to put all of it together. So, like I said last time, I find it quite fun. So, yeah, we'll get on into those upper panels next time and have the light duty tin work done. After that, it's roll on into the front bumper, and that should be the last of the heavy fabrication to do for this. So the wheels are turning. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope to see you back again.